Picture being on a jungle island. There are two wide rivers that run on either side of it with lots of flowing water, beautiful green trees, birds, wildlife, and nature in its finest elements. You're walking in this beautiful landscape and taking it all in. Sounds pretty relaxing and beautiful. You make your way around the tree just ahead and walk into something strange and hard hanging from a branch. You jump back to get away and take a moment to understand what unnatural object this is. To find that a decapitated doll's head with no eyes is hanging from this tree. You look around and see hundreds of bodies and body parts of dolls pinned to all the trees around you. What next? This sounds completely bizarre and unreal, right? Well, in this video, we're going to tell you about the very real place called Isla de las Muñecas, or Island of the Dolls, located south of Mexico City in Mexico. How did this haunting place come to be? Why are all of these dolls hanging or pinned from all of these trees, and more curiously, who is putting them there? Stick around till the end of the video to know what this is all about, the legend of Isla de las Muñecas. Okay, so let's just make sure you heard me right. Yes, there is a real island in the jungle south of Mexico City where hundreds of scary and terrifying dolls and body parts of dolls are pinned and hanging from all the trees. But what is the story of this creepy place? Well, the legend of this mysterious place originates from a tragically true story about a little local girl. According to the official website of the island, isladelasmuñecas.com, many years ago a little girl drowned in the canals of the area Xochimilco, the area in which the island is found. The island isn't a naturally grown island, meaning that it was man-made. These man-made islands are called chinampas. They were built during the pre-Hispanic era of the 15th century in order to increase agricultural production in the area. But as the centuries passed, the water gradually dried up in the lake and the chinampas were abandoned as they lost their natural potential to grow agricultural produce. This is the same story as that of Tenochtitlan, the ancient name of Mexico City. It was an island surrounded by canals and rivers, and over time, the water dried up. Who is running this place? How did it come to be? Surely someone is putting all of these creepy dolls up everywhere. What is their motive? Well, there is one man who dedicated his life to growing the eerie and spectacularly disturbing island. Don Julian Santana Barrera spent years decorating the island with these mutilated and terrifying dolls. I know what you're thinking. This guy must be super bored to spend his time doing this. Don Julian Santana Barrera, a local Mexican man, collected any and all dolls he could find that had been lost or discarded in the canals of Xochimilco and placed them all around the island. He had been doing this for many years, and it's clear there is no shortage of these dolls in the canals surrounding the island. Let's get down to the why of this mysterious place. What do the dolls on the island represent? Well, actually, it's a pretty sad and tragic story with how Isla de las Muñecas was created by Don Julian Santana Barrera. The story of the island comes from the 1950s, when Don Julian Santana Barrera and his wife moved onto the island to begin an agricultural project together. They moved onto this chinampa completely on their own to grow fruits and vegetables. But one day, Don Julian found the corpse of a little girl floating in the water on one of the banks of the island. It was clear she had drowned in the canal surrounding the island. Saddened and struck by this tragic discovery, he began decorating the island in honor of the poor, lost soul of the little girl who drowned in the water all of those years ago. A tribute to a life lost too soon, and a memory preserved in a truly fascinating and shocking display of incredible artistry, which resulted in an unlikely tourist attraction. Though, as time passed, it became more of an obsession for Don Julian Santana Barrera. According to the origin story on the official websites of Isla de las Muñecas, Julian apparently became haunted by the spirits of the girl and started hanging more and more dolls in an attempt to please the dead girl's spirit. The story further describes that he progressed to believe that all dolls possess the souls of dead girls. And so, in an attempt to appease the spirits of the dead, he continued to hang up more and more creepy dolls on the island. Locals who interacted with Don Julian said it was as if he was driven by some supernatural force and wouldn't stop, and even started trading the agricultural produce he had for any and all dolls that were neglected by their owners. It was clear that Don Julian was marked by the souls trapped inside these morbidly deformed dolls, and they were commanding him to obey. His story came to a truly ominous and horrifying end as Don Julian Santana Barrera was found dead, drowned within the very sanctuary he had created. His body was found floating lifeless on the water. Little did he know that over the course of 50 years he had been preparing his own grave, surrounded by the decapitated and mutilated dolls that he had decorated in tribute to the lost soul of the little girl who suffered the same fate in the same water all those years ago. A truly spooky and ominous end to a tragic and true story of tribute. Nowadays, tourists visit the island to get a sense of this local legend and to check out the spectacle for themselves. It's become a trend to visit the island and hang one up somewhere on the island in tribute to Don Julian and the little girl. Well, how can you get there? If you ever plan a trip to Mexico or Mexico City, I think it's fair to assume that after watching this video, you'll include this in your travel itinerary. Here are some more details about the place so that you're prepared enough. The island is located on Lake Texuil, in between Xochimilco and Mexico City, approximately 17 miles south of the center of Mexico City. It costs about $75 or 1,400 pesos in Mexico's local currency for a round trip. It's approximately a 2-hour boat journey there and another 2 hours back to Mexico City center. But be warned that getting to Isla de las Muñecas is not a simple journey. There is no boat with the island as a stop officially on its itinerary. That means you will certainly have to ask the boats that move around the Xochimilco canals if any one of them will take you directly to the scary island. During the boat ride, you might be lucky enough to see some wonderful wildlife as well, such as kingfisher birds, river snakes, and egrets.